Hello ratbags, it's Jade PLAYSGAMES. Welcome back to another ARK Survival Evolved news video. Today we've got another slight delay, well I call it slight, it's been nearly a month now, for the ARK PS4 update that will bring the game up to date alongside the Xbox and the PC version. And not only that, we're going to be going into the debate about how much ARK Survival Evolved should be and whether or not it's right that it's a full price game. Also, we're going to be taking a quick little interview with ARK Survival the Fittest and why it didn't really work out. So let's get on with the really important stuff. As you may have guessed, I haven't really been hyping it up because I just can't see they're releasing the updates when they say they will. So I've really not been saying yeah it's coming today unless I definitely know it's actually going to upload bang on my actual PlayStation. But you can see here Jade has put a tweet out. Follow up regarding PS4 update. Just received confirmation it won't be today as it needs a bit more time. Our next ETA is tomorrow. To say the PS4 community are, well, someone's taking it in good spirits. Yeah, you know what? There are a lot of people that are really grumpy now. It is a shame. It is very much a shame. There are lots of you really pissed off about it, and I don't blame you. 5 ETAs now have gone and passed, and they've not been able to hit a single one of them. When it comes, we just got to hope that it's going to have all the fixes and keep up to date and everything there exactly how it should be. It does suck, guys. I can't sit here keep saying, you know, the update's going to be great when you get it, because that doesn't matter. When you're a month behind everyone else, while everyone else in the ARK community gets to play with the same stuff that you want to do, or just experience maybe a little bit easier bug-free situation, although, like we've told you before, or like I've said before, the Xbox have had umpteenth amount of issues and problems with the updates, so it has been something you've not wanted. But regardless, you don't want to be behind everyone else this far. It just doesn't make sense. So Jade says, however, I will inform you when it's certification and ready to be released. Sorry about the wait, folks. As ever, I will also, as soon as he puts that tweet out, I'll do a video to let you guys know exactly it's ready to go, with the GB size hopefully as well, and any minute last changes. But not just that, I have got a video ready to go, ready to publish. The minute the update is ready, it will give you a recap of all the things that have been going on in the last 4 weeks with the updates. May change the title slightly, as I have actually put PS4 gameplay. It is Xbox One gameplay, obviously, but they're exactly the same thing, so I may change that slightly, but you'll get the idea, guys. And yeah, it's just going to give you a nice little recap, because 4 weeks of patch notes and me doing videos are not going to be enough for you to remember some of the smaller things that have changed, and there are lots of little small things, additions, and they're really cool. So as soon as that update's live, I will publish that video alongside it. Right, onto the price point. This is where I like my stuff. I like getting juicy and talking about some issues. Now, the price went up a good few weeks ago, and to be honest, I did have a little bit of an opinion on it when it first happened. Don't know, ARK Survival Evolved on the PS4 and Xbox One, digitally it is going to be the same price as in store, and everyone was up in arms on Steam because it's exactly the same price as in store. So there's lots of various articles about this, and one of the biggest ones was that Dean Hall, some numpty who created DayZ, basically said it was outrageous, and yeah, he called him out and said it was pure greed for Wildcard to actually increase the price of this. Now, I think I've said this before in a video, I don't know if I cut it out. It's a bit rich coming from Dean Hall, considering he's never actually finished the game. He left the development of DayZ and is currently working on another game entirely, and that was after 4 years. In fact, DayZ's still in early access, so it's a bit hard for him to judge, but everyone's allowed their opinion. So I'm going to give you through some sound bites, and then I'm going to show you some examples of other games that have done similar or not. Judo Wildcard announced that their game would rise from $30 to $60, or £23 to £50. Now, for me, and I'm sure you guys are all going to agree, if you're paying £50 for a game, that game has got to be a AAA quality game. Certainly it has to be a game that runs well and doesn't have any game crashing bugs, although I hate them. I really shit on them all the time, but Ubisoft frequently release their games with bugs, so it's not like it's the gold standard. Lots of developers release their games with lots of game crashing bugs, but these are normally remedied within a few days, and the big developers, if they do release these games, they've seen a massive negative impact. If anyone remembers Assassin's Creed Unity, that game suffered massively from huge issues with it. So developers would be wise to pay attention to how they price their games properly and whether or not they can really hit that standard that we as gamers expect. So Jeremy put this interview out a few days ago, and sometimes it takes a while for these to filter through. They've always wanted the game to come out at that price point. That's what Jeremy Stieglitz has said before, and it's true, he has said it a good few months ago, that they viewed the game as a full-priced game. With all the stuff that's gone on, all the development, all the hours that you can spend in the game, that's what it should be. The original plan was to only change this price on launch day. But they had to make the changes earlier because apparently according to them, they would not be able to get the games on shelves in actual retailers. And so for the retailers to do pre-orders and to have bonuses and to actually sell physical copies of their game, Jeremy has stated that they were forced to actually do this. That's why it went up on Steam a few weeks ago, and I gave everyone good warning if you hadn't bought it by then. And the same for Xbox and the PS4. That went up a little bit earlier, in fact. He goes on to say it was really important to get the game to a non-digital community, which there is a significant amount of people that do not have access to the internet. And you'll have known they have actually submitted the disc version ready now, so it's good to go. So whatever's on that disc, if you don't update it on day one, it should work and run relatively well. Currently on the PS4 store, you will find, I'm using pounds obviously, $49.99. If you go to Steam, you can see $49.99 is exactly the same price. Which is unusual because Steam normally offer their games a little bit cheaper. If we go to Game, they're the biggest retail seller of media in the UK. You can see it says $44.99. However, that is a pre-order price only. That price will go up by £5 once the game is actually launched. That is the way Game always do their AAA games. Any game over like £40 or maybe even $35, whenever it's a pre-order, they will let you have the game for £5 cheaper, as long as you pre-order it. But on launch day, it will be literally $49.99. Even worse, in store, this is digitally, game that are really shitty for this by the way, and I hate them as well. If you go into store on launch day and you haven't pre-ordered, the game will be $54.99. So there's an argument here that says if you pre-order, you're going to get it for the best price possible, $44.99. However, if you want it to be a digital copy, right now it's $49.99. And if you leave it till launch day, then obviously this will still be the same price, but that one's going to go up to $54.99. I personally do not think the game is worth that much. As much as the hours are there, as much as I love the game, as much as I love the way it is, I still can't see it being such that high spec what we imagine most games to be, like COD, Destiny, you know, top end games. Now they all do have problems, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they don't have problems or issues, but you know, their issues are nothing compared to the issues of an early access game. So if you look in the UK at the moment, Assassin's Creed Origins is $49.99, so £5 more expensive than ARK Survival Evolved. And that's the pre-order price, so that will go up to $54.99, and if you're buying it from store, it's usually the same, or like I said, it usually goes up on launch day. And that's across the board for the PS4, the Xbox One version. There's other versions as well that give you like deluxe versions, but we're not looking at that really. And you can see that if you want to order it digitally, it is $54.99 as well, and that is on the Xbox One store. So again, the argument is pre-order a physical disc edition, you will get the game for its cheapest price. If you want it digitally, it won't really matter, the price will be the same. But if you leave it too late, you're going to be faced with the same price for the same physical disc edition as you would buy it for the digital. It gets a bit more interesting though when you look on Steam, and Steam has got it for $44.99. So there goes that small saving that normally happens with AAA games. Normally, most games, because they don't necessarily have as big a fan base on PC, believe it or not obviously, they will launch their games slightly cheaper. And they don't have to pay as many publisher costs to Microsoft or the PSN. So that's that part of the argument. What we're really talking about is it right? Has Jeremy said the truth when they had to get it like this to get physical editions of the game in store? So let's break down it a little bit more. Let's get rid of some of these. As a loose example, Elite Dangerous was an early access game. In fact, Elite Dangerous was crazily priced when it first came into early access, set at £100 for its alpha. It then got cheaper as the game progressed, £50 for the following standard beta, or $35 pre-order to enter the game at its gamma phase. That was a while ago though, but if you look on the PS4 at the moment, you can see Elite Dangerous was just released a few weeks ago, and this is the super deluxe version. It comes with the season pass and it comes with a bunch of other customization. Game are also selling that version. They're calling it the Legendary Edition. I don't think there's any difference other than just it's the physical copy, and you can see it's the same price. So that argument lends itself to say that Jeremy's right. They can't necessarily offer ARK at a cheaper price because the retailers maybe wouldn't stock it. But with 9 million copies sold, do you not think ARK should have had maybe a little bit more clout and a little bit more say in how they actually sell their game? If I'm at Game now and I'm director of Game, I want as many copies of that game in my store as possible. Because although 9 million people may have probably bought it, the hype that is still going to be generated is going to be substantial. If anyone's mistakenly thinking everyone's bought the game that's going to buy the game, no. There are lots of people out there that aren't allowed to buy digital copies, mostly younger people. There are lots of people out there without internet access. And there are lots of people that just simply prefer having physical disc editions or don't want to take part in early access with all the problems and delays. So there will be a significant increase. Like I've said in previously, I reckon they'll see about 1 million copies sold in the space of maybe 2 months. And while that might not sound a lot compared to the 9 million they've sold in 2 years, that is a phenomenal amount of games sold. In fact, so much so, it will probably do better than most AAA games have done in a while. Games like Assassin's Creed, Tomb Raider, all met lukewarm receptions. Dishonored 2, Deus Ex. All of these games failed to meet their quotas of sales. They were all predicted to sell X amount of units within the first 2 months, and they all fell quite short of it. Now, we don't know how it really works. I haven't got, information about the board meeting that happened between whoever's their, marketing director and whoever the game's, purchasing things are. But I do know some people in the industry. And from what I can gather, it's never always a case of Game just saying that. Game will take a percentage of this. And normally they're the ones that come up with the ideas of the special editions. Hence why, if you're buying it from Game, you'll get exclusive skins. If you don't know about this, they're going to be offering 6 exclusive Bionic skins to anyone that buys the physical edition once it comes out. These skins will be available for everyone digitally, but not for a couple months afterwards, so it's a times exclusive. As well as that, things like special edition boxes, like the metal tin cases that you can get, they're not normally done by anyone to do with the actual game. They are made exclusively by Game itself. And it's up to Game, they will then charge you an extra £5 to actually sell the game with a metal tin. And apparently there is a metal tin version of ARK coming out as well. So if Game can make extra amount of money from things like that, why do they certainly have to say they have to be on parity with digital? Their argument is that they've got to be on parity to stop people just buying it digitally and undercutting them and not being left with an X surplus of games. But for the longest time now, Game have, not especially in UK, I can't say it's worldwide, it may be hugely different in America, and obviously that's where they're going to make the bulk of their money. But previously, Game used to have quite a cushy deal with most publishers and the big ones like Xbox and PS4. They would order however amount they thought they could sell, and anything they couldn't sell, they would actually send it back and they would get a refund. But Game has experienced some trouble on the high street in the last few years, and that has changed. They no longer can do that. They have to actually, what they buy, they have to sell, and it becomes surplus stock. Things may have changed, but that was definitely the case about 18 months ago when I last looked into it with a friend of mine. Now, what they could do, once they've actually got this agreement in place, I'm sure there might be an embargo, but give it 3 months and I'm sure we'll see ARK fall in price on digital platforms. And of course, Wildcard are benefiting. Anyone that hasn't picked up the game is going to have to pay nearly double the amount now. And so that extra money is going to go towards them on digital even more so, without anyone taking a slice of their cake from Game. But it just feels a little bit sketchy. I'm just not wholly convinced. There are other games that have come out in early access, like Elite Dangerous, and there are other independent games that have come out and managed to find a way to get it on a physical disc edition. So I can't say anything more than that. I honestly don't know the ins and outs completely, but that's just my point of view and that's everything I know about buying games in the UK. Like I said, it's very different, might be really different in America. But for me, the game is a little bit too expensive. I would have liked to have seen it go up by around 25 to 30% more. So if it's £23.99 on Steam, I would have liked it gone up to maybe 30. At max, £35 I think is a good price point for the game. Yes, it offers hundreds, thousands of hours of play, but so do most games nowadays if you really love that game. And I'm talking about open world games or, you know, online games like Call of Duty. And if you're selling your game for that much money, then yeah, it should have that much content and it should certainly work. So going through this, PC Gamer got some decent stuff out of the Jeremy Stieglitz. If you don't know, they actually had a big furore where they reversed the decision to wipe servers, and all the news outlets had been told they were going to wipe servers, and then they had to have another interview or another email from Jeremy Stieglitz saying they weren't. So a lot of this information is slowly filtering out now, part of a deal usually with marketing things like this, because it is marketing from PC Gamer and even Kotaku, is the fact that they will release stories like this to help build up hype. So Survival of the Fittest obviously became a free-to-play standalone game in 2016. But it failed to take off, and like I've said previously, it is dead in the water. No one is playing it on PC anymore. You will spend a good while waiting for a match, and while matches do take place, and there are options to host your own matches offline or on dedicated servers, it is still just pretty much a dead fish. You can go and check some of the Steam data about how many people are playing it, and only 300 people played ARK Survival of the Fittest yesterday. At the same time, which is a bit unfair because it's still really hyped up, 350,000 took on PUBG at the same time. So Stieglitz goes on to say they wanted it to be popular, they thought it would be as a good mod that could stand alone on its own, but it just didn't have, they just didn't have the resources to really put into it. And they'd thought about monetising it a lot, and lots of games like that can monetise things, where you know you buy expansions or you buy upgrades or quick time upgrades to get you a higher level weapon. Stieglitz goes on to say he's unsure whether or not it still fits in today's gaming market, even though PUBG has been successful and other games. He goes on to say that the Survival of the Fittest slow-paced and hour-long battles mean it's hard for players to drop in and drop out the way that they can in PUBG. It's a good spectator game in fact, however it's really come down to focus right now. We're a small team relative to what we can do, we've got 30 odd people in our core team, and it's difficult for us to develop ARK Survival Evolved and Survival of the Fittest at the same time. Honestly, I guess we'll have to see. Once Survival Evolved's core game is out in August, then we're going to want to see what we can do with the mechanics. We plan many gameplay updates for the foreseeable future. If somewhere in there we can find a group of people, however, who would want to take Survival of the Fittest forward, we'd probably be interested in working something out. Read between the lines, people. Do not get excited. That is never coming out. I actually thought they would release Survival of the Fittest as an option on the actual game. I thought that would be the best way to sell and to get people to start playing it. And that's exactly what they do now on Steam. If you want to play Survival of the Fittest, it comes bundled together with ARK, and that's the only way you can buy it unless you buy like a bundle pack that may have Survival of the Fittest included. He says that the team originally working on Survival of the Fittest were better versed in the technical side of the game as opposed to the design. He admits Studio Wildcard has toyed with the idea of revisiting it, but that it's most likely to be kickstarted if they find the right developer externally, or if that developer finds them. If we were to revisit, he says, we have to do so and ask, do we rebuild it entirely or do we find a team that can take it forward? That's what it really comes down to. It's not that I don't think there's a good idea there, I do, but someone has got to actually make it, and we're a little too small to make it at the same time as ARK Survival Evolved. I certainly like Sotf, and I would hate to see nothing else come of it. My ability to predict the future is obviously pretty bad. Hell man, anything could happen, I guess I could say. No, Jeremy, do not say that, because you basically just said you're not going to make it. So there you go. Everyone hating on me that always says, oh Jade, you're talking shit, they're just delaying it, they're just delaying it. No, they're not delaying it. They are actively not developing it in any way, shape or form. They possibly may hand it over to another developer, but it doesn't look like there's much interest in it. They've made the actual modding system free, so you can go ahead and build a load of mods for the game. But again, there's only 300 people playing it, so like no one's actually playing these mods that people are making for it. So there we go guys, a bit of a long one, that one, discussing the pricing and Sotf, and of course I know you're still pissed off about the PS4 update. As ever, I'll be the first person to let you know the game is ready to go. And don't forget, I've got that video showing you some of the things, and probably not all of them, because since that video was made there's been another update, but I'm hoping that that will give you a general idea of what to expect in the game. I'm Jade Plays Games, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you ratbags later on.